Hello, beautiful stars. Welcome to Stars of the Morning Light. I am Courtney, the host. This is recorded. It is not a live video, live stream, which I will be getting back to, folks. It's just my October's been interesting. So if you are new here, welcome. Enjoy the chat. Enjoy your time here. There are a great amount of videos that you can view in the playlist. So, beloveds, it's been quite a while of not really being able to obtain my schedule. So, I'm being very flexible with things. I am giving myself the allowance to be flexible with things. And so, today, this is a random video on a Friday. It is October 24th of 2025. I thank you. I appreciate you. Keep shining, stars. This video is actually it's a 2025 fifth fifth dimensional. I almost said 5D, but then I realized some people might not know what 5D means. So fifth dimensional experience check-in. We're just checking in. I'm just checking in. How you doing? What's going on? So I had said prior to 2025 starting that it was going to be a huge transition year for the collective, for individuals, what have you, for nations, for countries, for the whole globe, everyone. One of the biggest transition years I had ever uh, witnessed prior to even walking in. Like, wow, I haven't seen this, right? And it's because of the time period that we're living in. Um, and now we're in the end of October. There's only a couple months left. And so I want to do a check-in with people because in lovely October of 2025, I have had the honor to witness so much and reflect on a lot. And that reflection is very much reflecting on what I witnessed and experienced throughout 2025 already. So a lot of these examples will be of my own personal life and, some others. And why we're doing this checklist of fifth dimensional living experience, how you doing, right? And we are going to be looking at the David Hawkins conscious level chart is what one of the things that I have noticed is many, many people, all sorts of people have actually been in vast, pretty big transitions, but yet they're not acknowledging it because they're just going through it. But I will say what I've also witnessed, and I will give many examples, the way they're going through it, very different than maybe how they would have in the past. So with a hand to your heart, just breathe for a moment. This is really for you to check in with yourself. I had a gathering with students about a month ago, and we're sitting around a bonfire and we're talking about a whole lot of things. And fifth dimensional living experience was definitely one of them. And through a lot of that conversation, we came upon the whole 2025 transition year. And some of them, yes, big transition. They're acknowledging it, they're upholding it, they're walking through it with grace. They're doing great. And others would open their mouths and say, "Well, I don't really think there was any transition. I didn't go through anything." And the more they spoke and shared, the more they were pinpointing all these things that because it's not this huge, grandiose, life-altering shift, not this grandiose, moment of aha. They were denying themselves of all these beautiful transitions that they handled in ways they've never handled before. So I invite you all to, throughout this video, together in the chat, check in with yourself, check in with others. Where are we at with things? Because like I said, had an honor to witness so many around me, including myself, actually be a part of a very big awareness conscious shift within themselves, transition within themselves. So let's acknowledge it. Let's acknowledge it and give credit where credit's due. You all have done amazingly, very much so. So let's dive into the chart. Let's do it from there first. And as I'm pulling that up, I want to say to you all, oh, my chart's gone. Hold on, folks. Oh, my chart is gone. That's going to be awkward now, isn't it? So let me find my chart, beloveds, as I move away from you. Ha ha ha. And do know, beloveds, that when I record, I'm not going to go back and edit, and you'll find out why here in a minute. So as I'm pulling this chart up, and you will see this chart on your screen. I'm hoping that you will definitely see this chart on your screen. Um, this is the David Hawkins Levels of Consciousness chart. We have gone through this so many times, and I am going to put links in the description to other videos that highly go through this, and go through how to navigate yourself through this, okay? A lot of healing, a lot of navigating. This right now, though, as I can bring people back to understanding that this is 3D. Welcome to 3D. We've been living it over and over and over and over again. This is right here, all these numbers is the frequencies to all these feelings and emotions and experiences. Third dimensional living. We got it, right? This is what goes on here. I'm going to bring us back up to fourth though. Okay. Um, because this is kind of where we need to be. I want to represent and show you. See here, it says fifth dimension, fifth dimension, fifth dimension. That is fifth dimensional living experience. Fifth dimension is consciousness. Everything is consciousness. All is mind. If you study Hermetics, all is mind, right? Fifth dimensional consciousness. Well, as we see, that kind of starts to link us into the oneness and joy, inner love, presence and peace. These numbers are much higher, right? This is the frequency that you carry within you and release out into the world when we are experiencing fifth dimensional living. What I have noticed is that people, when they see this chart, when they first see this chart and they're really sitting with it, there is so much judgment of oneself in this area, as in, well, I don't really know peace like that and bliss, right? Nothing's perfect. Oneness and joy. When was the last time I had joy? Serenity, complete, inner love. There is so much inner dialogue about personal judgment on oneself that that is why I released one of my last videos talking about forgiveness of oneself, right? That we lay down the judgment not just of others, but of self. We are our worst critics. And leading into this, as everyone moves from third dimensional living, grief, fear, desire, anger, pride. And once again, I am not going through this. I will attach playlists below. Please go back and utilize them. The fourth dimension, moving into new humanity consciousness. The fourth dimension, this is a teeter-totter of the mind. The fourth dimension is an amazing place. It truly is. Teeter-totter, because in here is where, oh, we have pockets of time of, I feel joy. I actually feel inner love. I'm acknowledging that I am complete and I have the wisdom, right? It is pockets here and then pockets back down in third. Anger, pride, desire. It is a very interesting teeter-totter back and forth, back and forth. So this is kind of where we're going to hang out for a moment. Fifth dimensional living experience. And actually, I'm going to take this down again. Fifth dimensional living experience. What I have witnessed is because there is so much dialogue out there in the world about 5D, Age of Aquarius, all sorts of dialogue. The human consciousness has kind of created this end all be all of 5D. And I fully understand and empathize with the reasons why. Because if we've been living in third dimensional density, very dense, right? If we've been living through that life after life after life after life, well, shoot, anything other than that sounds like the cream of the crop, right? That sounds perfect and great. Anything outside of that sounds, whoa, that's what I want. But it is not the end all be all. And because we give it this atmosphere, like I said, this kind of grandiose, this end all be all, this perfect energy in our minds. We kind of set fifth dimensional living experience as is perfect. Because of that, we then, if we actually start experiencing it, we then judge it because it's not to the level that we think it is. It's not the golden city. It's not the rainbows and, roses everywhere and just pure greatness. So then that discouragement comes in, that self-judgment comes in of, oh, wow, in that moment, I thought I was experiencing joy. I thought I had some moments of peace, but then it just kind of went away, or was it as good as I thought it was? Maybe I just, needed to take a nap instead. I was too tired, so I just kind of, so much self-judgment. Well, so I'm here to first of all say, and we're going to get back to the chart, that in 2025, big transition year, big transition year to set you into fifth dimensional living experience. And in 5D, there is still all the material stuff that you got to handle. There is still pain. There's still all the different kind of communications going on. There's still judgment. There's still fear. So I'm going to talk about my experience in 2025 for a moment to kind of shine light on this. Because yes, I definitely am anchored into fifth dimensional living experience. I don't live within the essence of the density of 3D. That does not mean things don't happen. That does not mean that 2025 didn't throw things at this household. So I'm not going to go into all of it, but I will inform people that every single month so far in 2025, this household has been hit over and over and over and over. I mean, it could be two, three times in a single month of big things. It started with a big death in the family in January. Then into, b- gosh, guys, big things. I don't want to go into all of it. Big things from death to the government thinking we owed them like thousands of dollars, um, to my husband being laid off, to recently my husband was sideswiped by a semi, to then my motor in my car blew, to I mean the list can just keep going, to in the summertime my ceiling fell in. To I mean, guys, I cannot. Like the list is so much that I fully cannot even remember all of it. It's just been wild, wild. I mean, just wild in 2025 for this household. Of big things, like I said, from everything from any kind of fear that could pop up that wanted to try to knock us down into submission of the density fully was coming in. It was fully coming in. So, did we experience it? Yes. Yes. We have so far had to fix what became broke, and we're still in that currently today. That's why this is recorded. Um, we are, was it grief? Was it difficulties? Loss in so many ways? Survival in so many ways? Rejection in so many ways? So I want to say something about fear, and many of you know this. That fear in in all of its shapes and forms will usually show up in either three categories. One of these categories, true authentic survival, which yes, we are definitely seeing that, right? True authentic survival, lack, and or loss. And those are those fears that are either truly going on or imagined. And that could be us fearing that we're going to lose what we have or not getting what we want. So, like when my husband was laid off, whoa, that is the potential of great amount of fear. That is lack in its fullest, right? So, true survival, lack or loss, and or rejection. And rejection is huge, people. If we really look at everything that we're afraid of, it's going to fit into those pockets, into those categories, those three: survival, lack, rejection. It's going to fit into those. Rejection is massive for the majority of people. And what we tend to do when we live in 3D density is that we begin to just judge others really because we're afraid they're going to judge us first and reject us. So we spend most of our time judging society, judging what this person's doing, judging this family member, judging this in the world of judgment, all the red tape, red tape, red tape, judgment, 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 prove, prove, prove. It creates the rejection fear that circulates through so much. So that is fear. And in 2025, in this household, it was presented over and over and over and over again. Did we trust? Yes. Did we trust? I got to witness my husband trust in ways that I don't know if I've ever seen in the, uh, 20 years of together. Trust in ways that profound. So before I go back to the chart, I want to ask all of you, take a moment, pause this video if you need to. Take a moment, look back on 2025. Where was their fear? Where was their fear? Survival, lack, or loss, rejection. Where was their fear? And then ask yourself, how did you react? Was there trust present within you? I'm going to go back to the chart as you take a moment. Okay, beloveds. And so many people think that fear is not going to be at all present in fifth dimensional living. That's what I'm trying to get to, everyone. It is. It's present. It's a part of. How could you have third dimensional living density that we've lived in for so long and 5D very attached to it, very close to it, right there, sitting right next to you, and there not be fear within it and judgment within it? That's not even logical, beloveds. It's not even logical because there is no separation. So it is there. I'm not saying that it's so much in seventh dimensional living, which is more of the I am presence way up here, right? The non-duality, the full awareness, that is more in higher dimensional thinking. That is the complete I am presence. It's not really there, but that's because in all of fifth, as we cover ourselves and everything and everyone in beautiful compassion and grace, and truly then obtain and sustain the peace and joy and the love, then yes, by the time seventh dimensional consciousness is present within fully, yes, you're not really living within fear, okay? But that's not the majority. I'm talking about the majority, you, right now listening. So we're going to go back to this fourth dimension. Because this fourth dimension, like I said, is that teeter-totter. Fourth dimension between the third and the fifth up here. So, courage, neutrality, willingness, acceptance. Come on over to forgiveness, optimism, trust. Did I just say trust? Did I just say trust? Hmm. Within here, fourth dimension. So when we are judging ourselves, because the reason I'm doing this video is not to say don't judge yourself, because I know it's going to happen. It is to, if we're going to do it, then let's do it truthfully, authentically, with some um, real substance, real view as to where we are and what is going on with ourselves. So, when 2025, when you're doing the review and you're looking at 2025, and it could be even current right now. I know many people that are getting all sorts of things hit at them right now. Where are we at? Are we in neutrality where we can just witness and watch? Because why? Trust is there. Witness and watch as trust is there. This is the observer that I speak about a lot, the witnesser that my teacher speaks about. Trust, willingness, willingness with optimism, hopeful. This is here to sandwich itself between the acceptance and the forgiveness that is needed to move further. So, how would this look if we are going to judge ourselves anyways, beloveds? I love you. So, let's do it rightfully and not in a self-defeating, oh, this can't be real. Oh, I must be an idiot for thinking I'm anywhere near fifth dimensional living. Oh, my heart. Oh, my heart. So when we bring this down and we see that on this side, fear and love above, right? Fear below, and definitely in the third dimensional living, and love above. You see how both of those meet up in the fourth? And I am continuously asking folks to ask themselves, are we in fear or are we in love? Are we in fear or are we in love? That's okay if your answer is no, I'm in fear. That's okay. Is there trust backing it? Is there trust that comes in and says, hey, you're going to be okay? Is there trust there that says, you know what? Que sera, sera. This is just life. You're gonna be able to get through it. Trust the people, places, and things around you. Trust yourself. When it comes to trust, I learned a long time ago, that it is beautiful to trust ourselves. It really is. That requires showing up for ourselves. That requires spending quality time with oneself. That requires doing the things that bring us the joy. That requires doing the stuff and taking the time of that self-care people talk about to actually show up for oneself, not just in the self-care then, but in the difficult as well. The self-trust also has to be developed, also has to be talked through with that inner dialogue, followed through with action, because no one's going to do it for you as far as giving you self-trust. You show up for yourself. And if you're not showing up for yourself, well, then you're not trusting yourself. And if you're not trusting yourself, you're not trusting another. And if you're not trusting another, you're not trusting a higher power. You're not trusting a Godhead. You're not trusting spirit because it starts with self. So, regardless of what's happening around you, regardless of what's happening in the world, regardless, do you have self-trust first? And because there's that trust, you can maybe pull back a bit and witness and observe what is happening around me. And this is the area that when we pause and we acknowledge there's trust, trust of self, trust of another, trust of a higher power, within that, fear can still be present. It can still be present. But because the trust is there, we move into optimism and hopeful. And with that, we move into the willingness to take the actions to show up for ourselves, show up for others, show up for service of any kind. And when we have that willingness that walks us out the door, that gets us moving, because we are hopeful, because it is filled with trust. Well, then we go out the door and we go back into the mess. Whoa, the crazy, the chaos, the people. Well, we watch, we do. And as we watch and do, as we witness, observe in motion with the willingness. Well, then when we're out there, oh, I accept myself. I accept others. I accept what's going on here. I forgive us, for we know not what we do. I forgive them, for we know not what we do, or I forgive them, for they know not what they do. This acceptance is so very much where I am witnessing people at. This acceptance. I am watching people struggle with this acceptance because there is a key missing, the trust. How can we accept ourselves completely if we don't trust ourselves? How can we accept ourselves completely if we haven't shown up for ourselves? How can we accept others completely for who they are, even if we disagree with them, even if they take actions that are completely absurd and possibly dangerous in our opinion, even when that's going on, to accept them requires the trust. To forgive requires the trust. So in a recent video, I put in there that I talked a lot about forgiving oneself. Because as we talk about this fifth dimensional living experience, trust has to be in place for the witnesser living in observation mode, what have you, then taking the willingness to be of action because you are now hopeful into the acceptance of all people, places, and things, including ourselves, because we forgive us, for we know not what we do. We forgive them, for they know not what they do. All of this is also then tied in with the 5D. All of this is tied in because why? Let's say you are experiencing something. Fear. Fear, right? You've lost something in 2025. The fear. Or your imagination is very creative and everything is lost in 2025. Hmm. That acceptance with trust can bring in some wisdom, some love, some joy, some peace. And then when we experience that, we do not judge it. Our minds are going to want us to judge it. Our minds, our little liar minds, are going to say, oh, that wasn't real. You did not just accept that person. You did not just show love to yourself and others. You did not just experience joy. That peace you think you feel, right? Does this sound familiar to people's minds? Our little liars? Beloveds, this is connected to five, as it is connected to three. It is connected to three in fear. It is connected to five in love. That is why I'm always asking, are you in fear or are you in love? This is where we hang out. So, one of the checklists for your 25, oh, let's go back to just communicating, just talking, just being together. You experienced fear. You experienced anger. You experienced survival, lack, rejection. You're afraid that others experience it and will even more so. Fear. Okay. Okay. It is present in fifth dimensional living. How do we check where we really are with this? How do we check, am I just engrossed in 3D density and I'm living in that swamp? Or am I in that fourth trying to acknowledge fifth, but it's so hard because all I'm witnessing is bad without any trust, willingness, acceptance, and forgiveness. Where are we? So, this is one of the ways that you can kind of feel yourself out. And this is not in, so this is when we're moving in from this video out of like negative judgment of oneself. And this is why I'm doing it in the first place. Please remember I said that because I know most people are doing it. For some reason, we judge ourselves. We might judge ourselves even more so than we judge others. And when it starts with self. So if we're going to lay down judgment and wrap ourselves and everyone else in that beautiful energy of compassion and grace to even more so sustain fifth dimensional living, well, then let's utilize the mind that wants to lie, right? So, within all of that, the fear, the anger, the pride, the desire, the grief, the very 3D density. Within that, let's say you have a pocket of, whoa, this is fear. It's right in front of me, it's in me, it's around me, it's everywhere. Ah, fear. How long do you stay in that? How long do you marinate within that? How long do you allow the fear to grab hold of your consciousness? Obsessive thoughts, continuously watching the news, continuously being what my teacher refers to as partners in pain, calling that friend up constantly to both of you just kind of bitch and complain and everything's going bad, not really resolving anything, but partners in pain. How long are you in the fear? The reason I ask for you to kind of search out your own answer there with how long is because that is a very clear transition shift question as to are you closer to the fifth dimensional living experience or the third dimensional living experience? Because I said fear is still present. But how long do you allow the consciousness to marinate, like I said, within it? I'm going to give an example of someone I spoke to maybe a month ago around when we were all sitting around the bonfire. And I said, the students for the Student Appreciation Month were all sitting around talking about the transitions in some big, grandiose ways. Wow, look at that star shine. And then others very timidly, nothing's happened. But then when they continued to talk, wow, no, that's a big shift for you. So one of those beloved students, they have had a spine injury, and this was from quite a while ago. And so they are in physical therapy. And over at some point in 2025, that physical therapist and doctor just closed up shop real fast, real fast. Immediate fear for this individual because they very much became reliant on those physical therapists and whatnot helping them to feel better. Immediate fear. And because of the injury and insurance and what have you, it's not so easy to find a replacement either, right? Immediate fear. Not knowing. All of a sudden, the loss, the lack. That student, as they were talking about it, and I was there to witness, it was wonderful. That student reacted in fear first, as they do, as we all do. Judgments, fear. But then that student laid down the fear, laid down the judgments, and trusted. And in one of the fastest for this individual, one of the most fastest process that I have ever witnessed them do. Normally, this individual could have held on to that fear and let it permeate and then move into other areas of life and just absorb their entire world. And this student didn't allow any of that to happen. Shifted out of fear into trust so fast for anything that their past would have predicted. And so when we're sitting around talking about this and they're sharing, and I said, I was there for you during all that and witnessing all that. And I acknowledged and helped her to see, have you witnessed yourself? Notice how fast you moved from fear into trust. And when I said that, she went, oh my goodness, I did. And we all were sitting there and excited because we knew what that meant. That meant actually a very big, profound shift for her that she wasn't even acknowledging because she just did it. But massive in comparison to what she had always done. Hence, 2025, year of transition. So, beloveds, ask yourself, look back, review. How long did I stay in that fear before I laid down the fear and opened myself to trust? How long? And this is not to judge the length either. This is to, let's just gauge where we're at. Acknowledge things because so many have actually been doing it. We've been doing it. we're sustaining the fifth dimensional living experience, but because we have all these ideas as to what that's supposed to look like, we don't think we're doing it. Acknowledge what you have been doing. You've been shifting from fear to trust and love so much faster. So much faster. You have been acknowledging when you witness something, whoa, this is 3D density right here. I'm not going to judge it. I'm going to wrap it in compassion. You've been calling your friend, partners in pain, and then all of a sudden, halfway through the conversation, going, ugh, this don't feel good anymore. This don't feel all that good. I think I'm going to start calling somebody else. You've been doing it, but because it's not big, explosive rainbows and lollipops everywhere, as they would say, you don't think you are. So that's why I wanted to bring this up, and we're going to do just a couple more things and talk about just a few more things. It's because I knew you were judging, as we all do. I mean, it's human nature. We're shifting out of third dimensional living experience, which is the density of judgment. And judgment is still in fifth dimension. All things are in degrees. All things are, well, how long were you there for? Right? All things. So let's talk about forgiveness. We've talked a lot about trust so far. And like I said, there's other videos about trust. Where are we with forgiveness? Forgive us, for we know not what we do. Forgive them, they know not what they do. Love them, for they know not what to do. It is very hard to have forgiveness for self and others if trust and love are not present. Very difficult to have authentic forgiveness. And what is that? What is that? Authentic forgiveness keeps no record of wrongs. Hmm. Now, that is not to say, beloveds, that if you are in a serious, traumatic circumstance, that we just keep wiping the slate clean, thinking, things will change. That is not what I'm referring to here. In those matters, do seek advice and help. Forgiveness keeps no record of wrongs. And the only way to obtain that forgiveness of no record of wrongs, including yourself. So every time your mind says, oh, you're not even nowhere near fifth dimension. You love this 3D apparently. I know what your minds are doing. Every time that happens, forgive yourself. I forgive you, mind. I forgive you for not knowing anything different than 3D. And I'm going to trust myself and show up for myself and show you that things can be different. I'm going to move out of this fear and this judgment into the compassion, into the love, into the joy. Because I love myself. Forgiveness keeps no record of wrongs. So when we hear that definition, when we hear that definition, and beloveds, sometimes forgiveness does not mean you have to like associate yourself with those people, places, or things anymore. You can walk away from something, forgive them, but not, you don't have to partake, but yet we forgive them for anything. It keeps no records of wrongs. That is true, authentic forgiveness. And the love that we have for ourselves just has us not entering that arena, right? So let's drop any kind of misconceptions we have about forgiveness. Forgiveness is not that we are a doormat. Forgiveness is not that we continue living in a cycle of any kind of um, disrespect, trauma, what have you. We're not just, forgiveness and acceptance are together, not necessarily the same thing. Acceptance does not mean that you have to be in agreement with things. In order to accept that it is, this is what's happening. They did say that. I did this. Ugh. Yeah, I did that. I did that dirty, right? Acceptance does not mean that you're in agreement and compliance. Acceptance is the acknowledgement that, yeah, it is. It happened. Moving into the forgiveness of, okay, I'm going to forgive and let go. I'm going to forgive and rebuild. I'm going to forgive and walk away. They are related. They are together because we can't forgive something that we don't even acknowledge in the first place. And we just deny and deny and deny. But they are not the same thing. And especially when acceptance is not fully understood, as in, that does not mean that you have to comply or agree. It just means it is. And then we forgive. And we keep no records of wrongs based on that's what authentic forgiveness is. We love ourselves completely, that we take the action with the willingness and the courage on that chart to move into something else, the full, complete trust of self. So, I want to ask everybody, where are you with the fear in comparison to your trust? And I want to add a little, where are you with the forgiveness? Forgiveness keeps no records of wrongs. That's including you. So I invite you in this day. Now, let's say that mind has been trying to lie. Let's say that mind has been like, hey, you don't know no good. You're not in 5D. What is this bliss and joy? That's not you. You see nothing but heartache and pain. Hmm. In this day, first, where are you at with trust? And then ask yourself, where are you with the forgiveness of yourself for even having those thoughts? Oftentimes, when we think of forgiveness, we associate it with an action. Hmm. Our own minds want to judge us, want to judge others, want to talk poorly about our body, our spirit, our consciousness, our emotions, everything. Have you forgiven your own mind? Because within that forgiveness of self and others that keep no records of wrongs, I forgive you, mind. It's swiped clean. that frees you from so much density that you can experience more of the fifth dimensional living experience that is not as dense. Yeah, can you get hit with fear? Can you get hit with all sorts of things? Is judgment still present in 5D? Yes, yes, it is. Ah, but to what degree, amount, variation, that sort of thing. To what rate is it in your life? And how do you navigate it? That is five. That is five, beloveds. That is five. So I wanted to put that into where are we at? Look back at your 2025 review. And I was so at the very end of this, of course, as we are at the very end of this, and I'm sorry. Oh, I had my husband calling me, the dog pawing at me. Life be happening, folks, right? Um, this is a suggestion. Just a suggestion. All this is suggestions, by the way. Do as one chooses. Um, I've been thinking about this for quite a while. And because we're doing this kind of check-in, let's say, okay, I'm checking in with the trust and the forgiveness. Where am I at? Right? I'm checking in with how did I handle the fears of 2025? Check in, right? You know what's another great way to kind of check where your mind is, your consciousness? Where is it really? And it's simple. And everybody can do this. You do not need to be a great scholar to do this, right? It's very simple to go, oh, yeah, I do view that very differently. Oh, I view this very differently. Hmm. That is all a representation of, yeah, you're kind of getting closer to the fifth dimensional living than you're aware of. Than you're aware of. Let's just grab hold of the awareness, the acknowledgement, and the remembrance that you are closer than the mind wants to tell you. So this is kind of fun. This is a fun little trick, a fun little trick of the trade, as I would say. Our world here, right? We hear and we speak and we think and we communicate, we share, oftentimes in cliches. We all know what a cliche is. That is sayings that when we speak them or think them, we pretty much automatically know what the other person is talking about, right? Like, nothing new under the sun, right? We pretty much understand what that means. That's what a cliche is, right? Actions speak louder than words. Uh, don't put all your eggs in one basket, right? Cliches. Bear with me, folks, because I can hear everybody going, "Where's Courtney going with this?" Cliches for me, as an old English teacher, cliches for me are wonderful. They are truly wonderful. Is it a way that we can communicate with each other in these quick, uh, quick instances that we're on the same page? Or it is those quick ways that we can put inspiration out into the world, or we can tell somebody, hey, I hear you, I see you. Cliches are just amazing. They really are. I love them. But have you ever sat with them? Have you truly actually ever sat with a cliche? I know. No, nobody doesn't, except old English teachers probably. Have you ever really kind of sat and meditated or really brought your consciousness into the cliche that you are thinking or the cliche that you hear? Because it's interesting because the cliches that are being said so much about fifth dimensional living experience, maybe we should really wrap our heads around the cliches. So you can do this with any of them, but it's a good practice and tool that you can use to see, has your mind shifted? Has your consciousness started to shift? So, here's one. I'm just gonna grab some random ones to give you examples as how you can use this for yourself. And you can Google just list of cliches. I mean, there's a ton of cliches out there, right? Um, and ones that you know, and ones that you used to maybe have thoughts about, right? So here's one. A watched pot never boils. We all know what that means, right? It's kind of like waiting for paint to dry, another cliche. A watched pot never boils. As in, for those who, let's have an image of it. We're standing there, we're waiting for the pot to boil. We're waiting for the pot to boil. We're waiting for the pot to boil. Oh my goodness, it's not boiling. We're waiting for the pot to boil. Oh my goodness. We know what that means. It means, hey, walk away, go do something else. It's going to take care of itself. It'll boil. Trust. So we know what that means. Have we ever actually sat with it and asked ourselves, where am I within that cliche? Am I standing there watching that pot try to boil and it's just not boiling because I am very impatient because I am full of fear? Or can I walk away and go entertain myself for a minute with something else because I'm going to trust that that pot's going to be boiling by the time I get back? Wow. Where are we within the cliche? The grass is always greener on the other side. You ever sit with that one? The grass is greener on the other side. Have you ever actually sat with that one? How is there another side when there is no separation? Where are you within the cliches? Don't count your chickens before they hatch. What are your chickens? Let alone waiting for, thinking about them hatching. What are your chickens? Same as the whole don't put your eggs all in one basket. What basket? And these are just examples as to maybe look at some cliche. Have fun with this. Have fun. Have fun. Oh, yes. And everybody, I was a wild English teacher. Oh, those poor kids. Um, have fun with it. When you hear a cliche, because you're gonna hear one, stop and think about it. How do I feel about that? Where am I with that? Is the grass greener on the other side? Okay, no, maybe not. Well, why not? Why is it not greener on the other side? Oh, because there is no separation between that grass and my grass? Sit with the cliches you hear, and especially the ones about fifth dimension, especially those, right? So that is a fun little tool that you can use to identify, wow. So here's one that kind of kicked this off for me like many, many moons ago when I started doing this with cliches. Because I love it. It's fun. Where am I within that cliche? Why not? Where's my actual consciousness and heart space at? Right? Well, how do I really truly think and feel? Um, the one of when people would ask, glass half empty or half full. I guess that's not so much of a cliche, but it is, because we can use it in cliche form too as, my glass is always half empty, right? Oh, woe is me, Eeyore. Or my glass is half full because I am optimistic and joyful. I really started wrapping my head around cliches in a way as to pertaining to where am I consciously. When someone asked me that, where do I fit in that? Do I have optimism or, is everything dreary? That neither one was my answer. Neither one was my answer. I told them it depends on what's in the glass, right? Because in my mind, if it's something is not enjoyable, if it's full of fear and worry and guilt and doubt, well, that shit's gonna be half empty because I know I'm the one pouring it into the glass. But if it's filled with, yeah, optimism, creativity, a good time, friendship, love, self-care, all that jazz, well, then that is half full because I know I'm the one filling the glass. So, beloveds, have fun with it. Grab some cliches, look at them, feel them out, think about it, and do not, please, 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 do not judge wherever you are at. This is to use where you are at right now to lay down the judgment, but to view things as in where you at. Some might call it discernment. Where are you at with things? Because I know you're going to do it anyways. I know those minds. I got the same mind. I am as you are. You are as I am. So I love you, beloveds. Enjoy this show. Please leave a like and a comment below. Let me know what one of your favorite cliches is. Completely. I love you all. Keep shining stars, and I will be back doing live streams hopefully here soon. Love you guys. Talk to you later. Cheers.